Say hello, man.
Hello.
We should all be muted, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll start in about 30 seconds.
Can you hear me, Senator Penske?
I can, Gloria. Thank you.
Fantastic.
We'll give
Nicole,
folks
it's
15 or 20 seconds, and then we'll get started. Thank you all for joining the 22nd District team this evening for our 17th annual Martin Luther King reception. As many of you know who've been coming for years, we normally have a dinner on the first floor of the Senate office building. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, we've had to go virtual. Hopefully, many of you were able to pick up a dinner, and either you've consumed it or are going to eat while we're talking. But thank you for joining us today. I'm going to shift it over to our longest serving delegate, Ann Healy, in just a moment. I need to say that Delegate Washington is under the weather and won't be joining us this evening. We have a great special guest, a colleague of mine who I'm looking forward to hearing from. So with that, Delegate Ann Healy from Hyattsville. Ann.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see everybody. I wish I could be seeing you in person. Welcome, as Senator Penske said, to our 17th annual event. And I really wish we could be doing it in person. It's something that we've looked forward to every year. But we're here now together, and that's a good thing. I'm going to introduce a few of the, as many people as I have names for, who are elected officials and other VIPs that are on this call for this event, the Zoom event. So the list is as follows. We have with us Delegate Brooke Learman, who is also a candidate for comptroller of the state. We have from the Greenbelt City Council, Mayor Emmett Jordan, who was also on the Democratic Central Committee for District 22. We have Rick Gordon, Jay Davis, and Kristen Weaver, who are also on the Greenbelt Council. From the Hyattsville City Council, we have Danny Scheibel and Robert Crossland. And from our Democratic, another person from our Democratic Central Committee is Stephanie Hicks. And also we have Todd Turner, who is the County Council member from District 4. And also I just happened to see Ingrid Harrison, who is running for that seat. She's a member of the Bowie City Council. We have the Prince George's County Public School Board of Education, Pamela Boozer Strother, and gubernatorial candidate Wes Moore, Alan Thompson, the mayor of Riverdale Park. And if I have missed anybody, please chime in, unmute yourself, and let us know you're here.
And we also have the running mate with Wes Moore, Aruna Miller, former Montgomery County.
Okay, that was not on my list. Thank you. Wonderful. Anybody else? All right. Well,
oh, and I think also my colleague, Delegate Juanica Fisher, is also here as well.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. And we'll take a break every once in a while and see if new people have arrived that need to be introduced. But right now, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the upcoming session and what's been going on this year and the end of 2021, the last few months. At the end of the last session in April, I was elected president of the Women's Caucus. It's a one-year term, and the main part of the term obviously is during the session. It's one reason I'm very happy that we're going to have our speaker tonight, a good friend of mine, former colleague, Gloria Lala, But Gloria was president of the caucus many years ago. She is now president of the Women's Legislators of Maryland Foundation, and has really done so much for the advancement of women in our state. So
No.
I'm not going to do the introduction because that's Nicole's prerogative. But I would like to say a couple things about what we're doing this year, because the Women's Caucus is in its 50th year. And some of you may know that it was founded in 1972 by one of the people that was there was Delegate Pauline Menace, who was from District 21. And the founding mothers, there were only 12 members, women members of the entire legislature out of 188. Today, we have 72 members. And that means 67 delegates and 15 senators who are women in the Maryland General Assembly. We have made great progress and we are continuing to do so. So that was, that's an unusual thing. It's not quite the routine thing every year that we do, but I think it's important to take a moment on Martin Luther King Day to think about the progress that's been made by so many people, and how your legislature and the people who you have elected over the years have struggled to make our whole system more inclusive than it's ever been. And we're not stopping, but it's sometimes nice to take a deep breath and look back at what we've accomplished so far with it, and just mark the milestone and move forward. And that is what we're going to do. I'm very pleased also to mention that some of the bills that we've got coming up and some of the issues that I'll be involved in the upcoming session. One is to codify as state law the provisions of Title IX, which is women's rights in education, to allow college athletes who are pregnant to be protected so that they don't lose their scholarships and they don't lose their opportunities because they choose to have a child. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be heard very soon next week. I have another bill on trying to make the roads safer by expanding the move over or slow down bill that we had, so that it includes disabled vehicles that are along the side of the road, as long as they got flashers, something to indicate so that people can see them and really slow down and make sure that there are fewer accidents where people can get hurt that way. There are a number of other bills, of course, but the main thing about our district is its diversity. We have a wonderful, wonderful community that we serve. And I have really missed being able to get out into the community meetings that I used to go to 3 days a week. And a lot of them are not meeting at all. Some of them are meeting virtually. And I know so many people are just burnt out on Zooms, but I'm glad that you are here tonight for this one, because this is a celebration of our community and everything about it that we want to continue to make sure that we are, as Dr. King said, the city shining on the hill, or was that Martin? I can't even remember. I miss quote. I guess it was Ronald Reagan, but so what? We are the good example for many people because we have learned how to live together in our district. And I think I'm so proud of the place where we live and how wonderful the people we represent are. And I will go on and on, so I'm going to stop. I want to introduce now Nicole Williams, who is our newest member of Team 22, who was appointed a couple years ago and has just skyrocketed to leadership positions and taking control of really tough issues in the Judiciary Committee, which is not an easy place to start your career. So, but she is doing a great job for the people of Maryland and for the people of District 22. Nicole?
Thank you, Anne, and thank you so much. Anne has been super helpful for me making the transition as a newly appointed delegate. As she mentioned, she is the leader of our Women's Caucus, and she has been doing an awesome job as we're celebrating our 50th anniversary as a caucus. And so I just want to say welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces this evening. And I just want to echo the comments of, I wish we could do this in person, but unfortunately, we are unable to, and hopefully next year, fingers crossed, that'll all change and we will be able to do this again in person. I'm so excited to be part of this awesome team led by Senator Pinsky and to serve with Delegate Healy and Delegate Washington. And we are just working really hard here in Annapolis on your behalf. The session started last Wednesday, and I know we're all been hitting the ground running and getting stuff done on behalf of the people of the state of Maryland. And so this year on Judiciary, we're going to be tackling a lot of really hot button issues. Over the summer, I was appointed by Speaker Jones to serve on the Cannabis Referendum and Legalization Work Group. And so I've been busy really the last couple of months, really dealing with issues around if we were to legalize recreational use here in the state of Maryland, really what that will look like. And I'm also putting forth a bill to really address the rights of women and persons who may have test positive for marijuana in their system, while also being part of, say, child support services and receiving services from the state of Maryland, and just making sure that women are not, if we're going to legalize recreational use, that will not be used against women within our community who are just trying to get the services that they need. Another piece of legislation that I'm sponsoring this upcoming session has to do with the right of counsel in immigration proceedings and providing a legal right to counsel for all Marylanders who are undergoing have to go through the immigration system. It's something where myself as an attorney, I don't even understand immigration law, and let alone a layperson who may have to undergo dealing with the immigration system. It can be very complex and very confusing. And so I'm putting forth a bill that would allow a right to counsel for those individuals, as well as another piece of legislation that would basically decriminalize or just basically state that you cannot prosecute or sue someone civilly for seeking abortion care or assisting someone seeking abortion care or anything along those lines. So those are some of the bills that I'm working on. You know, as we talk about celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday today, one of the things that, you know, I always try to do is kind of reflect on some of his works and some of his teachings. And one of the books that I've been reading in preparation for MLK Day is his book, Why Can't We Wait? And if you haven't had a chance to read that novel, that book of his, it's really good. It includes the letters from the Birmingham jail, but he's really talking about the urgency of now and the urgency of really pressing forward with dealing with the injustices in our society. And there was one portion in the book that really resonated with me. And he says in the book, we need a powerful sense of determination to banish the ugly blemish of racism scarring the image of America. We can, of course, try to temporize, negotiate small, inadequate changes, and prolong the timetable of freedom and the hope that the narcotics of delay will dull the pain of progress. We can try, but we will certainly fail. The shape of the world will not permit us the luxury of grandiloquism and procrastination. And I think that is very true today as we are looking at what is going on. Tomorrow on Capitol Hill, they will be voting on voting rights legislation in the state Senate, in the US Senate. And the time is imperative now for us to move forward. Here in Maryland, we have done a lot in order to protect voting rights for individuals, but it really does have to be a collective effort with our partners on a federal level to really move the needle forward and making sure that we are ensuring everyone has the right to vote freely and fairly and adequately within our country. It's just one of those very fundamental things within our system that we cannot afford to go backwards on. And so I really hope that that certain individuals there in the U.S. Senate will heed the words of Dr. King and ensure that we are moving forward with legislation that if he were alive today, I'm sure he would want to see passed. So I just, so those are the things that I just wanted to speak about really briefly. We have joining with us a really amazing person who, as I mentioned, Delegate Healy has really been helpful to me. This person has also been super helpful to me as well over the years. And I sort of blame her as sort of my reason for wanting to run for office. And I don't know if Secretary Lawler remembers several years ago when I was first involved with the Young Democrats. She attended an event that we held during Women's History Month for the Young Democrats in Prince George's County. And during that event, she had spoke about the importance of women being involved in public office and the importance of women running for public office and having that voice and that seat at the table. And that really resonated with me. Secretary Lawler, I had never thought about running for office personally before that moment. And your words were just really kind of, I think, sort of the mental catalyst for me personally. And so I just want to really thank you for that. And just thank you for all of your years of leadership. For those who might not know, Secretary Lawler is our former Secretary of Aging under the O'Malley Brown administration. And even before that, she served as the senator representing District 26 here in Prince George's County in the state Senate. And prior to that, also serving as a member of the House of Delegates. Secretary Lawler, as Delegate Healy mentioned, is involved as the chair of the foundation for the Women's Caucus and is just really involved in just so many organizations. I pulled her bio, it's like 3 pages long because she has done so many things and is continuing to do so many things, whether it's with the National Council of Negro Women or her work with the NAACP or with her sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated or with the Links and just a number of different organizations. She's also originally from the great state of South Carolina, which my grandparents would be proud to hear because they're also from South Carolina as well. And I used to go to South Carolina every summer as a little girl. And so we also have that in common as well. And so I'm just so happy that she is able to join us this evening to bring a couple of words about this important day and what it means to her. And so without further ado, I just want to welcome and thank you, Secretary Lawler, for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Delegate Williams. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm not on my laptop. I'm on my handheld. Thank you so much. Good evening and Happy New Year to Senator Paul Penske, whom I served with many years in the Maryland Senate, to Delegate Healy. It's wonderful to work with you again. To Delegate Washington, who's not here tonight. We wish him well. And certainly to Delegate Williams, who's been very helpful to me in getting on to speak with you tonight. Also, we wish to wish all of the residents, friends, and supporters of the 22nd Legislative District a Happy New Year. We want to first thank you, the 22nd Legislative District team, I almost said 26, for your hard work in the Assembly and for your outstanding public service. We do appreciate it and we do understand just how many hours you put in. Thank you so much. I'm honored to share some thoughts with you on this special occasion tonight. I dare say that next to my parents, Dr. King's teachings helped to shape me from teenage into young adulthood. As we are aware, Dr. King's birthday was designated as a national holiday by President Ronald Reagan in 1983. And in 1994, in keeping with the spirit of King's life and legacy, Congress designated this day as an annual National Day of Service, which resulted in a greater national awareness of the importance of volunteerism and civic engagement for people of all ages. Although African American by race, Dr. King was a man for all humanity, regardless of one's age, nationality, race, whether rich or poor, whether educated or illiterate. Dr. King's message transformed all societies on this planet. On my spiritual side, I often said that he was heavenly sent. How else could one human being change the beliefs, actions, and laws of nations, beginning with the most powerful nation on this planet, the United States of America, my home and your home? How did he do this? Well, first and foremost, Dr. King saw himself as a servant of the people. When you examined his short life of 39 years, he wasn't trying to build a career, become a millionaire or a celebrity. No, he spent every waking hour, every moment, attempting to change a system for the better for all people. As a servant of the people, he was completely selfless. A Morehouse man ordained at 19, who became the assistant pastor of his father's church, Ebenezer. The greatest influence, however, in shaping his life and his thinking came from Mahatma Gandhi, who stressed love and nonviolence. Now, frankly speaking, I had to really think about that, because when I grew up in South Carolina, in the country, in the rural South, I had never heard of nonviolence. I knew about violence, and I was always trained by my dad. He had no sons, so he depended on me. I was taught, if attacked, I was to defend myself and to defend my family. So nonviolence became Dr. King's weapon of choice to defeat the enemy, Jim Crow hatred, and man's inhumanity to man. So let me go back for a while. In 1955, I'm in South Carolina, I'm in the 11th grade. It's December. And Rosa Parks, whom I'd never met but heard about, sat down in the white section of a city bus in Montgomery. And she said she sat down for freedom, for justice and equality. Of course, she was arrested. Dr. King and the other leaders formed the Montgomery Improvement Association. They called everybody to Dexter Avenue Church. They mapped out the bus boycott, and the rest is history. All of the Eugene Bull Connors of the world were DOA. They just didn't know it yet. 1957, SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, is founded. 1956 to 60, I am now at Hampton University in Tidewater, Virginia, and we have begun the lunch counter sit-ins, led by college students all over the South. 1960, SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. It's founded by Stokely Carmichael. I'm in graduate school at Howard University. I joined SNCC with Marion Barry heading the DC SNCC office. August 1963, I'm now married in Washington, DC, a mother of two. My sister Jean and I stood with over 200,000 people in the hot sun in August. People of all races, ages, and backgrounds. We were on the mall at the Ellipse. We were there to hear the historical I Have a Dream speech by Dr. King. And my friends, it was electrifying. In 1964, Dr. King was nominated for and received the Nobel Peace Prize. Lyndon Baines Johnson from Texas signed into law the Civil Rights Act. I'll never forget it. Like Moses in biblical times, Dr. King was seen as a great liberator, a son, a husband, a father, a pastor, scholar, activist, orator, writer, humanitarian, and yes, liberator. a self-described servant of the people. By the time of his death in 1968, Dr. King had revolutionized America and redefined its values. He alone carved out a new image for America, one of respect and dignity for all human beings, based on the ideals expressed in our nation's great Constitution: freedom, justice, and equality. And finally, we could ask ourselves, could Dr. King see a President Barack Obama? Well, of course he could. He could see the invisible. He could believe the improbable. He did the impossible. Today, America, once again, is facing the challenge of maintaining its democracy, our democracy. Dr. King gave us the courage as a nation to enact laws and practices under the democratic principles of our great Constitution. Some of his observations and key concepts expressed were: number one, when an individual is no longer a true participant in his or her society and no longer feels a sense of responsibility to that society, the content of democracy is emptied. All men are interdependent. In a multiracial society, no one group can make it alone. And one of my favorites, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Courage faces fear and thereby masters it. We must accept finite disappointment, but we must never lose infinite hope. And finally, he said, I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. He said, I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, think about it, other-centered men can build up. So what must we do to continue to honor Dr. King's legacy and live it out? I believe if King were here today, he would keep it simple, stupid, KISS. He would tell us to do voter registration. That's what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. And we saw the results. It was amazing. We must do voter education along with registration. And finally, and foremost, we must educate our young people because they are the next generation of American leaders. And we must educate them on the importance of sustaining democracy. Senator Penske and delegation of District 22, thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight. It was an honor and a pleasure. Best wishes for a successful 90-day session. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Secretary Lala. Those words were amazing. And you're, oh my goodness, I didn't know that you were physically there. Oh my gosh, to hear the speech there on the mall. So thank you so much for your words of encouragement and for sharing. Really appreciate it. So next, I am going to introduce probably the person on this call who really doesn't need any introduction because I think everybody knows him. But I'm going to introduce Senator Paul Penske, who is our state senator, who is going to talk about is going to speak about all the wonderful things that he's working on, especially, I'm sure he's going to talk about his huge climate bill, which is super important when we talk about the need to move the needle forward and to do big things. That's something that I'm excited to vote on this upcoming session. So Senator Pinsky.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Ann, and obviously thank you, Senator Lola. And I want to thank all of you for joining us on the celebration of Dr. King's birthday. This is an event I began 17 years ago with the then delegation. We've maintained it, even moving to virtual, as I mentioned, during this pandemic. And we try to keep Three Brothers moving, and we hope you enjoyed your dinner if you were able to pick it up. Obviously, you joined us tonight because you care. And I've said this before, many of you don't see yourselves as community leaders, but you are. People in your community look to you. And that's probably one of the reasons you're here tonight, because you care to gather more information. I look at the list of people who are with us tonight, and I see community leaders like Angela Bowles, Angie Bowles, and Beverly Ball, Civic Association leaders. I see new council members like Kristen Weaver and Rick Gordon from Greenbelt, who've just joined town government. We're joined by candidate Wes Moore and Aruna Miller, former Delegate Miller. They're running for governor, and also Brooke Lehrman, currently a delegate and running for comptroller. So thank you all for being here tonight and for your willingness to engage in public politics and changing policy. You know, almost 54 years ago, Dr. King said, "We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." You're familiar with that. You've heard it many times. But I repeat it tonight because up until 5 years ago, we believed that, while probably still too slowly, that arc continued to bend in the right direction. In recent years, however, we found ourselves back on our collective heels. We see state houses across the country moving to restrict access to voting, prohibiting drop boxes, reducing the number of drop boxes, reducing early voting days, prohibiting the delivery of water to those waiting in line. And this is happening particularly in Black and brown communities. We see redistricting efforts in Texas, North Carolina, among others, where they want to dilute the voting power of these very same people, Black and brown people, to increase the Republican vote. We see the right wing, who believe that Donald Trump won the last election, putting their crazy supporters in charge of local and state election boards and election oversight. We see the Supreme Court reduce women's right to choose and control of their own body. We've seen the same Supreme Court say it's okay to mandate vaccinations and tests for hospital workers, but not for the people who work next door in a private sector. And lastly, we see income inequality grow during this pandemic. The top 0.1% of our population and the large multinational corporations have made billions, that's billions with a B, during these recent years, while working and poor people fall further and further behind. You know, I say all of this tonight, not to demoralize us, but to set a context. I believe that Dr. King would not say to retreat, rather that he would have said to redouble our efforts and not be complacent. We need to speak up and speak up even more loudly. While we generally live in a blue state, even though we have a Republican governor, and we haven't seen as many rightward shifts as we've seen in other states, particularly around the Midwest and the South. But we still have many tasks ahead. We really do. You know, as your state senator and chair of the Senate committee that oversees elections, education, the environment, I'm trying to make sure that Maryland moves forward and gets closer to that goal of justice. Rather than reduce opportunity to vote, we passed laws to expand it last year. Every one of you will receive something in the mail to say, would you like to vote by mail? Every one of you. So if you would like to vote by mail on primaries, general elections, you just sign that and send it back, and the ballot will be sent to your home. Last year, we extended the hours and days for early voting. And we secured other regulations and rules to protect you on election day. And you will still be able to receive a bottle from a volunteer of water while you're waiting in line. You know, just as the pandemic hit, we had just concluded passage of the largest major school overhaul ever seen in the state in trying to improve the quality of instruction as well as the funding and the accountability, both the students, staff, parents alike. And over the next 4 to 8 weeks, we expect to pass a bill that I'm sponsoring to address climate change, particularly as it affects minority communities, that call for real action and not just words. And the bill is based on the urgency and boldness that this challenge requires. Why? We see more severe storms every year. We see more flooding every year in our neighborhoods across the state. We see sea level rise, and we see the effect it's having on our communities and our businesses here in Maryland and across the planet. You know, when there's flooding in downtown Annapolis or at the Inner Harbor, there are businesses that can't open their doors. When farmers are losing acreage where they normally would grow crops to what's called saltwater intrusion, that's killing the ground so they can't grow anything, it's having an important major effect to our state. We have a humongous coastline between the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay. And climate change cannot simply be given as a lip service. It can't be ignored any longer. We cannot leave a slowly decaying planet as our legacy to our children or grandchildren. All this is to say that I and the delegation plan to lead by example. We will neither be complacent nor will we be quiet. Last week, I called out this administration for not being honest with the public about this computer hack to our state's Department of Health. They danced, they gave misinformation, they disinformed the public, and it's been part of a playbook that's been used ever since they told us about all these tests they bought from South Korea and all these masks they bought that all turned out to be worthless. So it's important that you pay attention because we have an election in November. Tomorrow, I have the Secretary of the Environment in front of my committee for a briefing. And we're going to ask him about why he's not protecting our drinking water and the pollution in our rivers, and why he's not protecting public health and the environment. We can't let polluters jeopardize the water that we use or the air that our families breathe. We know how significant asthma is in our communities in Prince George's County. And I'll continue to speak out, and I implore you, and I underline that, I implore you to stay engaged. Now, sadly, we can't control what other conservative states do. We can try and pressure our federal government to act more progressively, but even there, we face pressures. Currently, Congress isn't even willing to remove the filibuster to pass the two important federal legislative initiatives, the John Lewis Voting Act and the Democracy Act. But we can make Maryland more of a beacon and continue to try and pass legislation that's might spur on other states to act. I mean, if we act with a vision and forthrightness, hopefully other states, Delaware, New York, Michigan, South Dakota, can follow us. Please mute, folks. Almost done. So we need to be not held back, but we have to, as I said earlier, redouble our efforts and push a bold initiative in all of these areas, particularly in social justice. Remembering Dr. King this evening, our challenge is clear. We have to do more to make that arc of justice bend once again in the direction of justice. You know, we need social justice, we need economic justice, and we need environmental justice. We, as your 22nd district, will speak out and be active, but we need to know that you're behind us. We need for you to stay engaged, to send emails, to make phone calls, to let us know you're ready to march with us if we have to make those demands on our state government or our federal government. I've appreciated your support for the last 4 years, and I look forward to that support in the future. So thank you. In closing, and this is a shorter program than normal, we usually end the program with Lift Every Voice and Sing. We have with us Diane Waugh, who's going to lead us in it or sing it for us, and we can sing it to ourselves. I think we're going to put the words on the screen if you're not familiar with them. So if we can, let's bring up Diane and unmute her. Let's bring up the words and let's take to heart this Martin Luther King birthday today.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And this is such an important song, also called the Black National Anthem. I would stand and sing it because that's what you're supposed to do, but that'll be really difficult with Zoom. And so I hope that you'll sing along if you can see the words. I don't see them on the screen, but can anyone see them? Not yet. Okay.
1
Well,
minute, Diane.
1 minute. Okay, good.
We're going to see if we can get them up. Share.
I was thinking, you know, the March on Washington was mentioned. I also was at the March on Washington. I'm from New Jersey, and I came down with the group on that very special day. Okay, there they are. Okay, so I hope everyone will sing along since you have the words. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you very much. And I can tell you, for your sake, it's good that my sound was muted. Yeah, the cats would be at the door if they heard my voice. But thank you, Diane, Robert Crossland, her partner, and a council member from Heights, GK from the Central Committee. So this brings to a close our abbreviated Martin Luther King birthday, and hopefully soon, we can see each other in person, break bread together. We can laughs and sadness and tears together. But we wish you the best. We want you to stay safe. And again, your 22nd district delegation is going to work hard as hell to hold tightly and close to our chests the beliefs and vision of Dr. King. So you don't have to travel, so be safe, healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.